I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to acknowledge the minutes from February 27th and March the 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dee approves, Lee seconds. Thank you very much. The next thing on the agenda is to meet with the county engineer, but the county engineer is in training. Oh, I know we did not. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Shannon, thanks for keeping us in mind.
We were just testing chance.
Yeah, it's a test. Okay, the county engineer is in training to learn about bridges this week. So we're going to move on down to the next item and discuss and consider Osage Glasgow safety improvements. And I've got some folks behind me that live in the area. We all know the intersection at Glasgow and Osage is not the safest intersection. And through talks with the county engineer, and we've been out and talked to Joe and the group over here, the Bairds. They would like to see, and I would too, that road go to 45-mile-per-hour speed signs until you get past Annabelle Kessel's, which is right down the thing. Double yellow line, 45-mile-per-hour speed limit. And Dwayne had mentioned a flashing light as well. And Bart could probably talk about the accidents we've had in that intersection.
Yes, we've had a few.
Yeah.
One most recent wasn't intersection related, but we had one there.
Yeah.
That's the most recent one that we've.
Yeah. I guess they felt that, and there are a lot of folks that feel if we drive a little slower there, that maybe that wouldn't have happened. That's just the area.
There's a site issue.
Pardon me?
There is a site issue there as well. When you're at the
Absolutely.
Stop sign at Osage.
Yeah.
Wanting to go on
Yeah.
to Glasgow.
You know, if you are on Osage going north, you've got to look back to the left and back.
Yeah.
If you're coming up Osage, the same thing applies. You've got to look way back to the left. You can't just look this way. It's back further.
And about where I looked to look back is where the police is.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I know most everybody in this room, but for those of you who don't know me, I'm Joe Adam. I lived at 2389 Glasgow Road with my wife, Joanne, for 38 years. I've lived within a mile of that intersection my whole life. And the issues that I see is, like Bart said, it's mostly single car accidents. When the roads are icy or frosty, you come out of town and you're heading, and right there at the pipeline crosses, it makes a pretty hard bend. And then you got the intersection, it's on a hill and you can't see down over.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has been in an accident there. My dad and I got run off of the road. Had to take the ditch because he's coming up the hill so fast from the east. He was in our lane. We had to go down the ditch. And the biggest problem I have, the road was built for the present and not the future. There's no shoulders. The roads are, greater ditches are deep. You go off, you're gonna roll. And 40 years ago, when I started farming, the tractors were 100 horsepower, 120 horsepower, weighed 10,000 pounds, 10-foot disc. Today, you got 700 horsepower tractors and 60-foot field cultivators and planters. And the biggest problem I have on that road, my wife and I own everything on the north side of the ground. That's farm ground all the way from that intersection to town, and on the south side, probably 85% of it. But when I'm coming from the east from our farm by Annabelle's, and I'm coming up the intersection, heading to town, there's a mailbox there. So you got to stop if a car's coming, and then by the time you get your momentum back around the mailbox, you might have one or two cars coming from the east or the west, I mean, out of town. And they're going 55, 60. You don't have time to get back on your side of the road and you almost collide. Combines are worse. In the last accident, I was up there talking to Bart and Hell and Brett with the lights flashing, them out there trying to slow traffic down, you about get run over. So
Yeah.
I think if we just put a speed limit sign at 7 Hills, 40, 45 mile an hour, and from my driveway, double lane, put a light across the intersection, north and south, flashing red and yellow on Glasgow.
Mhm.
That would probably help slow them down. And
Mhm.
if you wanted to go one step further, you could do like they did at New London, east of New London on the, but that costs money and I don't know what you'd have to do, but when cars are approaching the intersection, it starts flashing. You know what I'm talking about,
Yep.
Lee, don't you?
Yeah, I've
I
wanted
don't
that
know
over
what
there
that-
for a long time.
I don't know what that takes money to do that. And I think if we just slow the traffic down, paint yellow, because when I come off of Osage and I go up to my place in a grain cart, there's a curb right there and it's a no passing zone and they come around me in the blind right into traffic.
Yeah.
And bicycles are even worse and they got as much right to be there as we do. Why anybody would want to ride a bicycle on Glasgow Road, but they do. And they'll be strung out, 15, 20 of them.
Yeah.
And they weave in and out and people are impatient and they just pass. I see them pass right in the intersection. It's suicide.
You know, Joe, it's a safety thing. You know, it's just, Yeah.
I mean, you got Lundy down the road,
Yeah.
write tickets. I mean, that'd pay for the cost of the speed signs and painting a double yellow. I mean, you could get your revenue back.
yeah.
I think it's just some things like that you could do to slow traffic down that would make it more safer.
Well, we probably got the signs already as far as that part.
Oh, I agree with that.
And as far as the flashing yellow light, those are solar, so they don't,
You know,
once they're in, the initial cost, and once they're installed, there's no wiring. However, I agree with him, and I have from the day we redid Osage at that intersection.
yeah.
Initially, when we did that, it was blind looking to your left when you would come up onto Osage. When they got that cleared and we've got some with Chris and stuff, it's the site is better, but there's still a sight distance issue. And I
Sure.
do think when a car is approaching from that down in that ravine or whatever you want to call it, that we have a light that would start flashing.
Yeah.
Initially, I think we can put in the solar. We can certainly do the speed limits. Painting it a double yellow line is no big deal.
It's pretty much all double other. You start at my driveway, you'd only have to go to the intersection. Otherwise, it's all double.
And I don't know whether or not it's reasonable, I think it is, whether or not it's reasonable to have it 45 all the way across Glasgow, not just that.
Well, I think it needs to be widened a little further than maybe what you're talking.
Well,
Longer section of 45.
I think from 7 Hills Road clear to Zillman's Park entrance. Because you got 7 or 8 houses there. You got Annabelle and Jimmy Sadors, and you got that Matt Merrill, and I don't know who they all are, but there's 7 houses there. And it's all on a curve.
Right.
And they even have trouble getting out of the driveways.
Well, and
Annabelle's a suicide.
and there is talk about expanding usage for Zillman's, the county park system. I'm in favor of all those things, and I also am in favor of asking the engineer to look into having a sensor that triggers those lights.
Yeah, I think he'd be happy to do that. Jan, Randy, you got anything you want to say?
We'll just take a photo to elaborate on what. Yeah.
I don't come from the north that often unless I'm hauling grain, but I probably cross that intersection more than anybody when
Thank
I'm
you.
hauling the heartland. I'll
Pass
cross it
this around, Joe.
40 times a day.
the main part of this is going south on Osage, coming up the Glasgow Road, you look to the left. And Chris Metcalf just built a new home there approximately 4 or 5 years ago. But unfortunately, it required a pole because there was no power there, because there was no home there. And I'll be darned, it's right in your line of sight when you pull up to the stop sign. And I recognize it takes money from somebody to move that around, but if that pole is moved more onto his property, 20 or 40 feet, I'm not sure of it. That's probably up to the REC or the landowner. I don't know if that involves your office, but
Well, there's
Access energy.
66 feet of right of way, plus the utility company has right of way, and exactly where that right of way, how far that right of way extends, I don't know, and with Dwayne not being here, but I don't, again, obviously we'd be in consultation with Chris, but
well, we already had talked about the dip, but my 2 cents was that moving the pole would assist a lot. Cars
no, yeah,
hide behind
I'm
it.
right there with you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is that we have right of way. So does the utility company. So I'm not sure. We'd have to, I guess what I'm saying is that if we're outside the right of way, we would have to have permission for the property owner to make something work, but I don't really think that that's an issue either. I just don't know how far we would need to move it. You guys might have a better handle on that than.
I suppose we could just go have Dwayne get hold of access and see if it can be done.
Oh, and they're easier to work with.
Yes,
than
they are.
Some other companies that we know of. So I don't know what we have consider on here, so.
Discussing, consider. Dee, do you have any comments?
I totally agree with everything's been said. I'm familiar with that intersection. It isn't a challenging one. So yes, we need to take care of it.
That went around it. I just say, I use that intersection every morning. My kids use it, and it scares me. On Main Road, I mean, it scares me probably more than my kids have used it, but when you're coming up to the stop sign on Osage from the south, you come up there and you look across, and sometimes people have to turn a little bit to the right to be able to get a view to the right down Glasgow Road to the west, and you're concentrating on them, wondering if they're actually going to turn left because, and then you all of a sudden there's a car coming up over the hill, and you pull out and right behind your, it's a bad intersection. So anything you do to slow the traffic down, but
We had a similar situation out by Chautauqua Park and Parkview. And in partnership with the city, we changed the speed limit and put flashing lights down. I do think we need to do more, but I think that initially, everything that you said done with this didn't matter,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's a good start.
Right, and then I still think we need to, so I guess what I would do is I would make a motion to implement reduction in the speed limit, the distance to be determined by the sheriff's department, and the double yellow line and the flashing yellow lights, and to contact Access Energy, have the engineer contact Access Energy about moving that pole and working with the property owner, and looking into some type of sensor system
Sure.
because of the site
Yes,
issue.
I second that motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passed. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Bart,
Thank you.
possibly know just estimate of how many accidents might be around that area a year? Just a rough estimate. I know you'd have to do some research into it.
Yeah, it's been a concern for a while, that area. But,
There's a lot of them that go unreported.
Yeah.
I just tell Bart when the last major accident was there, I said, looky here. I said, the guy went through 2 rumble strips, ran a stop sign, went across Glasgow, crossed my grader ditch, hit a guy wire and ended up in my field. It never got reported.
Are there
You
any,
don't understand how many accidents are there that don't get reported.
were there any fatal accidents there?
Yes.
I knew one.
Oh, yeah.
There's been
I worked
fatal
with a guy
accidents.
named Cliff Paxton. It was in the late seventies that was killed there. He was young, probably 18.
Was that the one that hit the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, why not just put a normal light that goes from red, yellow?
You know, we'll
green,
discuss that later. We need to continue with the meeting right now. Okay,
10-4?
thank you.
We can put a roundabout there. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I don't have any money for the customer.
I know, you
Is that a
better not.
password?
Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss and consider hiring Kay Elizabeth Etsy as Assistant Jefferson County Attorney.
So Ms. Esty applied for the vacancy in my office that was created when Mr. McEvan was promoted to judge. Elizabeth is here. She is a city councilman for the city of Fairfield and a recent graduate of Iowa law. And I'd like her to introduce herself to the board.
Yeah, hi, I'm Elizabeth Esty, I've met you all, but you know that I'm serving on city council and graduated from Iowa law last May and took
Is that
a
like
course the bar.
University of Iowa?
Yeah. University of.
It's in
Go Hawks.
Iowa City. Okay.
That's right.
Big Ten championship women's basketball.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I'm sorry, we digress.
No, it's fine. We can talk about that too. So yes, and I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Well, I got a couple, not
Sure.
as far as your qualifications. I'm just wondering about, does she have to step down from the city council and from the ambulance board?
There is an opinion from the Iowa Attorney General from 1971 or 72 about incompatibility of office. The long and the short of it is that it is not a direct incompatibility to be a member of two different levels of government. So a county is an umbrella entity that has cities in it. So it's not just like she could be in the state legislature and a member of county government. So as long as it's different levels of government, there's no inherent incompatibility. There may be individual and specific issues that she would want to recuse herself of, but those would be as a individual capacity. And it's my understanding that you are no longer on the ambulance
I
board?
am, yeah, so I requested that I be replaced on the ambulance board because I do have an ethical obligation as an attorney to not engage in any conflicts of interest. And I thought that that probably would be the one that came to my mind right now that might lead to some conflicts potentially. So Tom Toohill is going to be taking over for me on that board.
Elizabeth, what other committees are you on? For the
I
city.
am on Environmental and Franchise Utilities Committee, and then I'm also on Water and Sewer, and then I'm on the Property Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've worked with Elizabeth on the ambulance board and I found her to be very insightful and I think she'll be a great addition.
Well, anybody that put up with Chauncey's got to be okay. You knew that was coming, right?
I did, Lee.
Okay. So I would make a motion to approve the hiring of Elizabeth to the Assistant County Attorney.
I second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 How many do you need, Kim?
There's the second one.
Congratulations.
Well,
Congratulations,
thank
Elizabeth.
you. Thank you.
And you've been here, what, 10 minutes? You haven't cussed yet, which is a good
I
sign.
don't feel comfortable yet, but you know, as soon as my
Yeah.
employment begins,
Yeah,
I'll
there
let
you
it
go.
rip.
Yeah.
9:30.
And it's going to start on the 29th.
The 29th of March,
Okay.
yes.
Yes,
Just finish
I-
up my current employment.
I really appreciate this and you'll bring a new level to the county attorney's office.
Bring us up a notch.
That's right.
Well, I just hope that I can continue all the work that Pat was doing.
He's gonna be a hard act to follow.
I know, believe me.
That means you've got to referee little
I
games, is
just
that
was wondering, do you
right?
referee basketball?
You'll have to deal with me calling the office many times.
I might sign her to you.
No, there you go.
Hmm.
Getting tired of me already, John.
Media relations.
All right,
Anyway, thank you very much.
sure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Next item on this speaking of agenda, discuss and consider grant priorities.
So would that be about the broadband grants?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
There's a little bit generic,
Take
so
care.
any particular spot that I?
No, you're fine. right
You
here.
just pick, I wouldn't have said like him, but you know, go ahead.
Well, I can sit between
No,
you
you're
two if
fine.
you need a referee. I didn't realize that one of the supervisors is remote. I did put together just some talking points as much to keep me on task, but also
Sure.
something to leave as a reference point. Would you like a copy for?
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else wants one. I have a few.
May I get a copy?
Can you leave one for me, please?
Absolutely. And if there's some way I can share it, I'll talk through it, but there's a few maps and stuff. But the details really not on the maps, the most important thing. So first of all, I'm Vince Tyson with Farmers Telephone out of Batavia. I've been here for a little over 2 years, so I'm fairly new to Southern Iowa. So I don't know too many people in the room, so it's a pleasure to meet y'all. We did have Jonathan Tavera come in about 1.5 years ago and talk about a broadband grant that we were applying for back then. That Farmers was successful in receiving. I was out of town that day, so I couldn't make it over. So, but I was here, have been here since we've been applying for grants. So the first page just shows where the service area, anybody that's not real familiar with Farmers Telephone out of Batavia. Their service area is mostly in Jefferson County. It goes a little bit into Wapello County. And then the second page shows a brown area that is the area we applied for in the last broadband grant round with the state. The OCIO, the Office of Chief Information Officer, administers the broadband grant program. They've had 7 rounds. The NOFA's notice of funding availability, and then they number them as they go up. We received a NOFA 7 award. We built the cable. It's in the ground. Once the weather turns where we can start plowing the connections into the home, we're really close to hooking up customers. So we came in about 1.5 years ago and talked about that project. And then we ended up successful in applying for it. So now the program is evolving a little bit as time goes on. You know, they add some details or modify how the grants are administered, as well as some of the money comes down from the federal government. So that dictates the process that exists. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, was the evolution of the broadband grant program and how we might be able to work with Jefferson County to try to prioritize some of those funds that come into the county to continue to build out. So the next page is a map that's just a screenshot. You can go on the OCIO's broadband website and see the interactive map. But over time, they've been working on a map to show the locations that don't have adequate broadband throughout the state. So this is the version 5 map that exists. And what's really important about this is they transitioned from using census blocks to show where broadband was not available down to individual locations. The census blocks in rural areas, they can get rather large. So to say a whole census block is served or unserved really was not adequate. So now they get down to individual locations. And if you look at Jefferson County, as long as the boundary in my GSIS map is accurate, there's about 656 unserved or underserved locations in Jefferson County that still could use better broadband. So that's potentially what Farmers is interested in helping, is continue to expand out to cover some of those locations. The next page then talks about what's now being called the broadband intervention zone from the OCIO. So what they would like to do, they've recognized over time that some areas across the state are unserved and underserved areas. Here's one more copy if you'd like one. Nobody's ever applied for some of those areas, and they don't necessarily understand why. They can presume, but why some areas nobody's even ever applied. They've always had more requests for money than funding, but some areas nobody's ever even asked. So they've looked at it and said, there's this process on the economic development side to have what's called opportunity zones. And if an opportunity zone is defined, then if somebody applies for an economic development grant in an opportunity zone, you get extra points, you might get a higher match percentage. But they are prioritizing those funds to go to opportunity zones. So they're starting the same process now. They call them broadband intervention zones. And what it is, it's just an area to prioritize the funding going to. So if an area is designated as a broadband intervention zone, in the next round of funding, which presumably will be called NOFA 8, sometime this spring or early summer, we expect it to be out, that those areas will be prioritized for funding. So if the county is interested in money being more favorably granted to help the area, you can then be part of the process of applying to create a broadband intervention zone. So basically, the application, which they call an invitation to qualify, I don't know if that's a common term you heard before, it's new to me, but ITQ is really an application. It's underway. It started March 1st. It's open until March 31st. So it's not open real long. The good news is it's not real complicated to put one together. It's just a matter of the detail that goes into it and how much effort we want to put on it. The interesting thing is only quote unquote communities can apply. And essentially, and they've got a list of definition on their website of what a community is, but the way I look at it, it's a public entity. So a county, a city, a council of governments, it could be some nonprofit, even I believe anybody in the political side, a state senator, representative can apply. But it's some public entity that makes the application. What's important about that is a service provider like farmers cannot make the application for a broadband intervention zone. But yet we have a lot of the knowledge of here's an area that might be interesting, maybe challenging, you know, the language that's used in them, you know, from an industry perspective, you know, so we certainly recognize that we can help in preparing them, and we're certainly willing to help. So that's why we're here today to talk about, is Jefferson County potentially interested in applying or supporting an application? And farmers is willing to consider, as long as it's an area that makes sense for us. Yes, Dee. Yes.
What I would recommend, because I did a lot of work on this when it first came out and have been through all the other 7 other versions, and I'm glad finally they're including the counties or entities, because previously it was all driven by the people, the companies that do the installations. So we have in the past sat down with all the companies that we know of in our county. And what I would recommend, Susie and Lee, is that we schedule a work session and really sit down in front of a computer and look through this application to see what all's involved, because often these things are not as simple as they sound. If it is, that's great, because I'm all for broadband, have been a real advocate for that. It's an important piece. I actually went on the OCIO website and looked at it, put in some addresses. I know in a previous version, it wasn't always correct because I tested my home address and it said I had broadband, and I called them in the office up there and they were able to test it. And it wasn't 100, what is it, 100, mine was 50/20. So I think they've done some work to improve their site. And this could have been when it was census block driven. So I'm all for that. But I think we really need to look at the detail. But I'm supportive if it's on the surface what it says it is.
So basically, you are suggesting we partner or meet jointly with Davis and Van Buren counties. Is that correct? To work on an joint application?
So the short is, and I think Dee's right, you know, there's a lot of detail to this, so possibly a working session if that's the direction.
Yeah, I just think it wouldn't be just us.
Okay. Yeah. So there's other service providers, you know, that have an interest in Jefferson County, and you might want to get other input as well. From farmers' perspective, and that's we're jumping towards the past, where they're really interested in expanding at this point And the board has not made a decision. They need to look at the details, but in theory, with the discussions we've had, is continuing to expand in the southwestern part of the county.
Sure.
But there's not that many locations. So does it make sense to do just an application for that area alone? But again, a working session, I think the answer to something like that would come out. The other opportunity is, we've been looking at this, just, being in the business. There's a really, really poorly unserved area around Dow's. And what's important about the application is that there's two pieces and how it's scored. Some are objective, some are subjective. The objective one, the more locations in your application, and specifically the more that are considered unserved, which is less than 25 megabits down and 3 megabits up, the more points you get. Well, the Dow's area is rich in those locations. But if we made an area that went up into the southern part of Jefferson County and over into the eastern part of Davis County, we kind of cover an area that is a nice pocket of locations. You can see on this, there's over 300 locations. So that's one option. And again, a working session can certainly look at different things. In this case, we're talking to Van Buren because most of the locations are there. Maybe they're the entity that submits it. If they do, would you be interested in not at least, but assisting in letters of support and, helping the process of getting information for us to put into the application? So you may not necessarily be the entity that applies. You could, the entity that applies, but make it a joint effort between the counties where one is the primary. So there's several different directions it can go. Time frame is fairly short. So, if we were to get together.
I just think anything we can do to help this region,
Mhm.
state, I think all three of us are on board with that.
No, yeah, I don't have any issue with that.
I don't know.
But not to be, what's the word I'm looking for, not to be the
Devil's advocate.
well, yeah, to rain on somebody's parade. I'm okay with letters of support. I'm okay with, working with Van Buren County, of course, and Dee has some expertise in this area. When it comes to if there's any consideration as far as funding goes, that's, as far as something coming out of our pocket, that's a different conversation that we have to have.
Right.
Yes.
And that's true.
And every county is in their unique positions. Some financially support projects, some don't. As you know, the request we made before NOFA 7 was additional points would occur if there was additional support at the local level. We requested, you guys at the time declined, but even though we didn't get the points, farmers still got the application. So it was a good call on, frankly, your behalf. But it's not necessary. So in this, there is a points category for capital contribution or in-kind contributions. I can tell you, Van Buren County, I don't think disclosing anything, they very upfront said, look, we're not in a position, we're not going to fund any capital towards this. You don't have to get a broadband intervention zone. It's part of the point system. But just like NOFA 7, just because you don't contribute capital doesn't mean we won't get a broadband intervention zone. So I think that's part of the discussion at the working session, if that's the direction you guys want to head. It's not required, but it certainly is an option.
Well, I think if we're going to have a work session, I think since time is of the essence, that it needs to be a joint work session with, if Van Buren County is going to be technically the applicant.
Yeah.
Which I guess I would say that makes more sense than us as far as that part of it goes, for them to be the primary. Dee?
Yeah, I know in the past, we invited all the vendors in, and do we need to do that again? Because the clock's ticking. What we found before is you have pockets, like out in Batavia, you've got that. There was like Libertyville, Lockridge, and the northeast part of the county. But when you get between Fairfield and those corners of the county, there's nobody that really wants to fill in that area. So if we do something, I'd like to be able to see us do something for the whole county.
And a broadband intervention zone has a 200 square mile limitation. They don't want large ones, but they're not precluding multiple applications for it either. It's the framework's a little bit, flexible. So there are options. And if I were in your shoes, and this is, a working session discussion, that area south where Batavia is at, the southwestern part of the corner, is not the most dense area. An application by itself, if I were in your shoes, I'd be looking at it going, I'm not sure that'd be the best one. If you just even look at this map, the biggest pocket of people is kind of south central, just south of Fairfield and southeast a little bit. So if you were to do one just for Fairfield to say, we want to get the biggest impact of a broadband intervention zone, that's probably the area it would make sense. That's not the area farmers interested in expanding to at this point, but other utilities absolutely might be interested. So, or it doesn't matter if other ones are interested. If you get it designated as a broadband intervention zone, it might attract somebody to be interested.
So I guess the question then is, I'm going to throw the ball back into your court since we're talking about Van Buren County. I guess I would ask that you see what their schedule is juxtaposed to our schedule. Whether we meet in their location or at your location, at your office, Batavia or whatever, and let us know what, and then we can adjust our schedules accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to recap, you are gonna figure out the location. Let us know. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And I'm at McDonald's most of the time, so.
All right.
Do
you own it?
No, well, in theory,
Well,
no, or in practice.
He's the guy that asked what you want.
You paid for the roof on it.
That's exactly right.
I understand how that goes, certainly. All right. Well, I just want to share the concept and then see where you wanted to head. So I will work on this and get back with you shortly.
Thank you for your help.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider cowbell insurance with PCS.
Hey, Susie,
Yes.
before we go there, do we need to talk about those letters of support for the road potential grants? We've gotten emails this past week.
Yeah, the grants that Dwayne is in the process of filling out. I think we
Yeah.
can probably wait till next meeting to do that, Dee.
Okay, thank you.
Need more cowbell.
Are you the cowboy guy?
I am. No, I'm from BCS.
I'm just- Thanks for coming.
He
Yeah.
sells cowbell stuff.
He does?
Yeah, because he's got cows. So it makes
So
sense.
let me just tell you what I know just from glancing at what you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
My name's Matt Brush, and I'm sorry I didn't dress up today because I didn't know this was going on.
Hey,
But
Matt,
you can
you
still
look
look
just
at my
fine.
face. And
Yes.
it's pretty good
I
looking.
made
so.
him come along with it.
And I think most of you might know Jerry. He's one of the techs. So typically, cybersecurity is necessary. Cybersecurity insurance is necessary. I myself, the owner of the business, Brad, has been in tech for 30 years. We've never seen a bill that's $15,000. PCS pays $400 a year. It's typically cybersecurity is underneath your general insurance policy. I don't know why there's this separate policy. Again, I'm not an insurance guy, so I could be totally off my rocker, but we've never seen that. And I sent a text to Brad this morning and asked him, he's like, I don't understand what's going on now. And it doesn't look to me like, you're the $1 million for this and 50,000 for this, but that's anything out of whack. Our policy for $450 a year has some of the same requirements. So I don't know what's going on. I would suggest that you maybe call 2 or 3 different insurance companies and say, we want something similar. Can you give us a price? Black out the price so they can't see it. I just don't understand what's going on with it. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to the owner. The owner works, we have a company we work with that does $130 million a year in sales. Their insurance, their cybersecurity insurance policy is not $15,000 a year.
So
That's what he told me.
who's the company that you guys have?
We use McEwen and Reed out of Atoma, but the other thing that I'm curious about is this isn't, what's the word? This isn't a unique thing. Every insurance company sells this under a general policy.
So I wonder if we get it under ICAP, is that what, that's Iowa
I
County's insurance? pool?
don't know, but I'm just telling you from my experience, the money seems way too much for what you're getting. But I can tell you, you need to have it. Last year, we had 3 of our customers get hacked. One, they stole $150,000 out of their bank account in 3 seconds. Money was gone. They had cyber insurance and got the money back and stuff, but it's becoming more and more of a problem. It used to be 5-10 years ago, hackers didn't care about, people like us who are in these small communities. They wanted to hack into somebody that's got $200-300 million worth of money. Now they're going after anybody and everybody that they can get into. I'm gonna mention something else just because I've never met any of you fine people. I'm from Ottumwa, and it's the crap hole city of Iowa. I love Fairfield, and I come to Fairfield all the time because of the arts and the music. And I can tell you from my experience at PCS, I've been there 5 years, you guys have some problems with your IT stuff. Like major problems. You guys have, public health and the attorneys and the supervisors, and you got all these departments, and there's no, what would be the word? Uniformed idea what everybody's doing. You guys just canceled. I'm not here to tell you you have to have it, but you just canceled your backups for your servers and stuff. So if a server crashes, you guys are just screwed. You're going to lose all the data because there's no backups. And so what PCS does for this county is you guys call us and you say, oh, this isn't working, and we come fix it. And we never hear from anybody again. Typically, how we operate is we operate with a relationship with whoever we work with, and we go, here's your problems, let's fix them, and let's continue this relationship so we can figure out the best possible way to go forward. So antivirus problems, people not being trained on how to not click on emails. I think recently somebody clicked on an email and could have been really bad, and it ended up not being really bad, but it could have been. So backup, antivirus stuff, people being trained on emails, making sure the servers are up to date. These are all things that you should be doing, and there's no uniform system and no guidance from anybody. And again, we just get called and say, hey, my computer's broke, and we come fix it, and we walk away.
Hey, Matt, could you put together, and you just stated kind of the priorities, because I think we'd be interested in that. When you say the backup, is that the cloud system that was
Yes.
just, okay? Because we just implemented that last year, and then there was some feeling from the board that we didn't need it. So if we need it, then we should probably put that back on our agenda.
Yeah,
and
and
restart that.
if money was the problem, if somebody would have came to me and said, hey, we can't spend this much, I would have figured out a way to get it to where it was cheaper, but we were just told to shut it off. So we just shut it off. But I'm telling you, if one of those servers goes down that houses all this information, if it's not backed up, you lose all the information that you just put in there. So that's a big deal. The other big deal is the fact that there's really no uniformed, hey, if you see this email and you look at it, you need to know, how do I look to see if it's bad or good? And it's apparent to us that most, and I'm not trying to bewilder anybody, but most people around here don't know. how to look and go, oh, it says it's from Walmart.com, but when you go look, no, it's actually from Walmart, we're gonna screw you.com. And so there's some things like that that PCS would love to work with you guys. We work with everybody in Southeast Iowa. We work with Van Buren County, we work with the Sheriff's Department, we work
with public health.
with public health. We
Right,
do,
Jerry?
we do, and I'm not saying we're the best, but I'm saying we're in Atumwa. And if you have a problem and you need to complain, you can call me and complain and I'll get it fixed.
Hey,
So,
Matt, would
yeah.
you or Jerry be willing to come to one of our department head meetings and maybe go through this
Yeah,
with the department heads, because especially the email, and then they can go back and in their staff meetings, educate staff.
yeah.
Hey Dee, it's Chris from Public
Yeah.
Health. So we've already had Jerry can speak to this. The safety committee has been working on cybersecurity for over a year now. And it hasn't been that long ago that we brought forth those things from ICAP to start working on. Jerry has already done an assessment or partial assessment at the health department. Thank you very much, Jerry. So we are working on things. So I don't understand where the disconnect is. It lies with the department manager or the elected official. I didn't know that the cloud backup got shut off. I mean, we've implemented a backup system. We have our own server at the health department. So it's kind of, I'm assuming that we were still getting cloud backup and a hard backup because we do the hard backup every day, but.
I think that's what I'm trying to say to
Yeah,
you
we
is,
have to have
I feel
security.
like Jerry's worked with you and it's been a good
That's
relationship.
because I know.
But
I
then
need to do
there's this huge disconnect from you, your department, to all the other departments where at PCS, we're frustrated because we don't know who we're supposed to listen to and
I
who we're not.
understand that.
And how do we bring all this together?
I work in healthcare, so I understand the importance of security with
Right.
IT. I don't have a choice. I have to do
Right.
it. So most of the things that we work with are web-based at the state level, and they have another 2 or 3 layers of security. But Jerry's usually getting a phone call or an email from me, not on a weekly basis, but frequently.
Right.
So is this something that the safety committee needs to take on? I mean, I don't know, but we've already started part of this process.
Chris, I think one of the first things, and that could be there also, but I think the next department head meeting is on March the 22nd
Yeah,
at 1:30 in the afternoon. Please don't you come.
Yeah. Let me put it.
I agree,
Okay.
Susie. I don't, yeah.
Just so you know, Matt, they have, so the server here, they're still doing physical hard drive backups, but the cloud is an actual extra layer of protection
Right.
because this happens all the time. We, when you go to try to say you need something restored, you go to use that drive and the drive don't work.
Right.
And then you're out of luck.
So let me,
We use it as another, just another layer of.
let me give
So
you,
what happened before there was the invention of the cloud?
you were just screwed. You were just
Yeah.
screwed.
The cloud's been there for a long time. A lot of it is people are afraid to put their data out there. Because of.
Plus the
security.
plus the
But here's
prices
another
come
problem.
down too.
You
Yeah.
got the problem inside your own environment as well, so, you know.
So why add insult to injury?
Well, how solve the problems? I mean, training is one of the biggest things that you guys can do to,
Yeah.
help your users.
Yeah, but yeah, you misunderstood my comment, and it was a little bit nasty, I guess, but what I'm saying is that you put it out there in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea where the hell it goes, and I'll put money in later.
Okay.
Okay, my point simply is that, so I got a text message last night from Wells Fargo about a charge on my card, and did I make that charge? It was $25 and some change. Oh, no, I didn't make that charge, so I called them. Well, there was a $385 charge on there that I was unaware of too, so obviously, they're taking those off and they, whatever you want to call it, lock the account or whatever the case may be. So with all of this protection in place, I still get hacked. And so I'm paying for it. Obviously, I guess they're paying for it. Like you say, we back up off site. So I'm just not 100% convinced that, we've gone all of the, and I'm not saying, insurance is because in the event that it does happen, not that it has happened. And I get that. I'm just not convinced that's the end all, the end all. Now, I'm just me. I'm not
Well,
speaking for
there
the
is
other
no,
two.
I mean, there is no end all be all. I mean, if you want to be fully protected, disconnect from the internet, because the minute you're connected to the internet, you're at risk.
Exactly.
But you have to do
I
it,
think-
you have to operate that way in order to do business. So the best way to
And I'm
do it is.
absolutely convinced that at some point in the relative near future, they're gonna figure out how to get into that cloud if they haven't already.
Well, that's one other thing that you got to be aware of is the fact that, in my opinion, you're creating a relationship with PCS. That PCS is pretty confident that somebody's not going to get into it. We've never had anybody hack into our cloud backup in the 6-7 years that we've done it. We've never had a problem with it. So you have to have some trust, but I understand your point. Your point is well taken. But let me explain to you what your bigger problem is. So the state, especially because we deal with, PCS deals with law enforcement a lot, but the state and the counties and insurance companies are all requiring this cyber security. You guys all have email through PCS. Your email stuff we host. It's basic web hosting. Within the next 3 to 5 years, you won't be able to do that, because everybody is going to require you to have how do you say it?
Two-factor authentication.
Two-factor authentication, which means if you go to do something different with your email, it's basically just an extra step to make sure that you're secure. The only way you can do that is to purchase Office 365. Microsoft is smart. They're actually dumb, but they're smart in their business plan, and the fact that they realize this is happening. And so they've said, we're not going to sell you Microsoft anymore. We're going to make you pay a monthly fee. And my point to all this is, you may not have to do that right now. We have some companies that their insurance is telling them you have to have two-factor authentication.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, we have some companies that are making them do that. You guys don't have a clue whether you should be doing it or you shouldn't, or if they're going to make you, or when do we have to do it? How much is the expense? And that's kind of where we come in, is we can at least give you the knowledge and this is how much it's going to be. I don't know how many employees have worked for the county.
90.
So 90 times $10 a month. I mean, that's a lot of money. And that's just so you can have email. But basic email is going away. You're not going to have it no more. And I'm just pointing that out, in the fact that IT is changing and things are changing. And from my outside looking in, I don't mean this, I'm going to just say it. You guys don't have your shit together. That's my personal opinion. Compared to other counties, compared to other organizations that we work with, it doesn't seem like everybody's working together and that you have a plan. That's all I'm saying.
We're gonna need a bigger jar.
Hey, Matt, thank you so much for talking with us and appreciate your input. In some of the other counties, what kind of a position do they have that kind of coordinates the IT part?
Typically, there's just one person that, I mean, without going down the rabbit hole, we have 5-6 different ways we can help you guys.
Okay.
We could do managed services where you pay per computer per month, and every time you call us, you never get a bill. Or like the sheriff's department, they have a full-on maintenance agreement. 99% of the stuff we do for them, they don't get a bill because they paid for it up front. Now, I'm not suggesting you should do that, but what I'm telling you is there's a plethora of things that we can do, and without having the conversation and without explaining all these different things, you don't know which direction you should go. Because we have some people that do full-on managed services with online backup, like the sheriff. We have other people that just do phone call support. Some people that do nothing, they just pay us an hourly rate to come fix their stuff. It's not a easy thing to just lay it. I got to show you figures. I got to show you what it all includes, all that kind of stuff.
My question is, I've said this for years, Jerry and I've had this conversation. It's almost like instead of being departmental expenditures, or I think that's where it becomes fragmented. It's not a comprehensive process, or it's not the same. It's not coming out of the supervisor's pot of money. They approve our budgets, but then it gets disconnected. It's almost easier if it would be an overarching IT umbrella, and then each department get back with the supervisors, because I know what I do, I know what Bart does, because we've had a conversation about it, but when you're having these discussions, it needs to happen. I mean, we're already done with our budgets for FY '24, but there's got to be a more comprehensive, cost-effective way to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, you heard me say I work with Jerry frequently, but
So just to give you an idea, just so you can think about this over the coming weeks. If you hired a full-time IT person that just, because the city of Tumwell has one. His name's Edward. He's a good guy. He manages everybody's IT. In fact, I think they have 2 or 3 people. It'll cost you $60,000 plus benefits. That's how much an IT person costs. Typically, PCS can do that for 3/4 less than that. And we act as the full-time person, but we have 4 techs that can actually be called upon when you have an emergency or need something. So I'm just giving you an example, you know. But yeah, when we hear things from Chris, or we hear something from Bart or somebody else, we're like, well, we don't know what the heck we're supposed to do here, because we're getting told different things from these different departments.
Well, back to the original question. So you've been invited to department head meeting on the 22nd.
What time is it?
1:30.
And
Unless that doesn't fit in your schedule.
No, I'm fine.
I know, you know, obviously, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Mark Myers, because I know he does a lot of stuff with the state. And I don't know how much is backed up through the state. I mean, these are questions that.
You guys, the main server is, everybody shares off the same server, so.
Right.
Just, you do the switch out the drives, right? So the backups are, you know, maintained by the auditor's department. But you only have one server, and everybody shares all that, you know, shares that one server with their department.
Well, I know we've talked before about upgrading the server.
Yeah, it's in dire need.
Okay.
It's really needed.
Right, okay. But nobody's come to us with a proposal either.
No.
As to what that looks like.
Right.
And we've been told, but then you want to talk about dropping the ball.
Well, no, I've asked.
Oh, no, we dropped the ball.
No, we didn't. I asked, and I've been waiting for an answer back, whether they want to quote for it or not. I've talked about it numerous times.
Okay.
Well,
See, I didn't-
We would like a quote.
So, because I mean, you guys have already, this server was put back in play, put in when Tim was here, so that's, they've already outrun it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, I'm not blaming anybody. I just, here's my look at it. I don't want you guys to have a situation that's gonna cost you dearly. And I've talked about this, you know, numerous times. You know, you guys are operating in the information world. You guys need to, you know, shore everything up, because if you don't, all it takes, like I said, we had one incident already. And if I wasn't contacted by somebody when it happened, you guys could have been in a world of mess. And it was, you know, just something simple.
But correct me if I'm wrong, and I very well could be, it wouldn't be the first time, right?
The second time.
Yeah, exactly. If you hadn't been contacted, right, we could have been in a world of hurt, as you're indicating. But with all of this stuff that we're talking about, all of the safety, whatever, and the cloud and all the rest of it, when that came in, if we'd have had all of these bells and whistles and you hadn't been contacted, we'd have still lost everything. Now, we could download it, but I mean, what I'm saying is that all of the problems that could have occurred, if they hadn't called you, the same exact scenario would exist if they haven't called you with all of the other.
Oh, that's the first time I've been called in all the years.
That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that the point was that you had to be called. So irregardless of the tools we have, if you're not being called, then my question is, and it's in the form of a question, would it have made any
Yeah, it
difference?
would have.
Yeah, I think it would
It
have.
would have, because you would have had the train, if you would have had the training on how to, email phishing and stuff like that, that we had talked about before, the person would have been able to tell. I looked at it right away and knew exactly it was a spam, you know. I could tell
Well,
right
and
away.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just not sure, and I don't have a problem. with
There's
training.
nothing that's gonna stop everything, no matter
Right.
what, but you do the precautions ahead of time so that you're prepared for when something like that happens.
So I can, if you want me to, I'll come to the meeting. I will have a proposal for a server. I will have a proposal and I'll do a presentation if you want and show you all the different options. And I'll hand you guys papers to where you can then meditate upon it and figure out if it's something you want to do or not and how you want to go forward. I just hope that whatever you do, doesn't matter if you spend it with us or with BCS or somebody else, that we figure out a way to bring everybody together. Because that to me is the frustrating.
No, I worked with you guys. Now, obviously, I'm just got back in the saddle, but I worked with you guys for 12 years. I trust what you say in that regard, but I also have to figure out how to pay for all of this.
Right.
Well,
You're gonna be here on the
but-
22nd and give us a proposal.
But
for
then
all that
again,
stuff.
don't be afraid that, hey, this is out of our range. These guys have worked with every business
Yeah.
that we've ever had as a customer.
22nd at 1:30.
That is correct.
I will be here and I'll have a presentation and I'll bring some quotes and I'll show you some information and try to explain it to you as easily as it can be. And
Everybody's budgets are getting tight, no matter what.
but my whole point about the Office 365 thing is, I know you have to find the money. I know how cities work because I work with the city and I work with the county in Atomo and work with Van Buren County. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to find the money. Or they're not gonna let you operate. They just won't. The insurance companies, we're dealing with Wapello Rural Water. I don't know if you know who they are, but they're rural water company. They just got audited and they just got told, you're gonna do some stuff or we ain't gonna insure you. And you're talking about a huge liability if they don't have their insurance. So we're working with them, trying to figure out, okay, what holes can we plug? How do we train people? What do we gotta do to help you so that you can maintain your insurance? So it's a big deal. And the insurance companies unfortunately are driving what you have to have, and the state, of course. I mean, you can't imagine what we deal with the sheriffs, with the state. They've
Oh, yeah, I
lost their
can't, because
minds.
they want us to pay for it all.
Yeah, they do.
And then they cut our ability to pay for it.
Yeah, right.
Which we've discussed options too going forward. We've been paying a full yearly contract, like you said, and we have backup and all that stuff. We've discussed going with the option with the 3-year, 4-year, whatever it is, almost paying a lease with the contract, meaning certain machines would be just
Covered.
replaced, covered.
Yeah, most of our law enforcement, like Mount Pleasant, Van Buren, Davis County, all those law enforcement offices pay a lease. And so they pay whatever it is, $1,500 a month. And every 3 or 4 years, they get brand new machines and they get a new server. And now that's costly, but the law people are doing it because they have to. Because the law software and everything has to be up to date and your computer has to be up to date. And the state forces them to. And my point to you, yeah, you gotta find the money. Yeah, you have to find the money. And it's not because of PCS, it's because all these freaking,
So you.
no offense, government rules.
You're saying that you're backed up. Where are you backed up to?
Well, I don't think anybody's backed up now because we shut everybody off.
He said he
You
wanted
shut
the
everybody
cloud,
off?
well, he said he wanted the cloud backup removed, so I removed it.
Everybody's removed off the cloud.
But
didn't know
the reason why I
I
kept
didn't
asking
know
the
that.
questions was
I
because
thought I was
I wanted to
still
make
So
sure.
when was that implemented? I didn't know that either.
That's what you emailed.
I
me.
know what I emailed.
Yeah.
But what I was given to understand was that this was something that was new.
No, that's why I kept asking you, which one did you want? I even called their office because I wanted to make sure you
I
didn't want
guess
to
I
get rid of.
didn't understand either. Because the $662 bill was new.
Yeah.
So
It's been new for
the
about, what,
sheriff's
5 months,
office
maybe
and
4?
public health were paying for theirs themselves before.
I think they were paying, well,
I wasn't,
No, there was none.
no, I was under the.
So you
umbrella.
didn't have it.
The way it worked was Chris emailed us and said, how much can we do an online backup? And I said, it's, I think $80
Yeah.
a month. And then all of a sudden it turned into, I think Dee emailed me like, why are we doing it for them and not for these other ones? And she's like, how much for all of these? And
we started that about a year ago, probably, or
Yeah.
less.
and well, then that's
9
why I
months,
kept
10
asking the
months.
question. I wanted to find out what exactly you're referring to, because there's two parts of the cloud. I wanted to make sure that you didn't want to get rid of, there's another part that's the Browns workstation, which is the antivirus and the machine diagnosis and stuff like that happens, that's automated. So that's why I actually called
I didn't
Scott
know
on his
that
cell
was
phone, because I
all
want to make
one
sure
thing.
that's. what
okay,
it was.
let's not get into the weeds. Let me explain it on the 23rd.
Sure.
Because what he's talking about is you guys pay for malware and antivirus and computer updates. Well, I need to be able to list this out so you can see it go, oh, this is what this means, this is what this means, this is what means. But right now, none of you have, we are not backing up your stuff
To the cloud.
to the cloud. If you do it with the physical hard drive,
That's what we do.
right, but you were getting
And then it
backed up to
goes
the cloud too.
off-site then.
Yeah, you plug it in, make it do it, and then you take it off site in case there's a fire.
We had both.
Right.
So my question is, can we wait? Do you think we can wait till the 22nd to do this?
I'd like to see us move forward on it sooner, at least the cloud.
Why don't you let me go? I mean, that's only, yeah, a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And let me see about getting you a deal too, if you're really gonna do everybody. And, cause, yeah.
Because it's my, I would say this, I was not getting an individual bill for a cloud backup because the
Right.
county was taking care of it as a whole. So
Yes,
that's where this all started. I mean, it did not start with me, but I'm saying, I asked the question, so I've never paid for cloud backup.
We always recommend,
Yeah.
when we set up any server, we always recommend a physical hard drive backup. That way you have the device in your hand when something fails.
Yeah.
But in the past, and as times went on, we've had those, even new drives fail because it happens. Like electronics, surges, power surges, whatever, that kind of stuff happens. So with the secondary backup, we've been able to use that to recover whatever they need to be able to recover.
I'm so confident in the cloud backup that I'd tell you, get rid of the hard drives and just do it in the cloud. Because hard drives fail too much and they don't always work. The cloud always works.
What I don't understand is how we got here. If this has been there a year, how did you guys not know when we're sitting here doing the budget? I don't understand this. I mean, we're coming along here and having a conversation like it was something new.
We did have that conversation and in the budget this year, it was decided you didn't want to renew it because previously it was taken out of ARPA funds for the first year.
So we can sit here and point fingers all day long. Let's just do the right thing, okay? Please come back on the 22nd. I can come drive you there.
No, it's fine. I do this all the time. I manage the place. I'm a babysitter for the techs, basically.
There you go.
And then I do the sales side and try to explain, because I don't know how to fix crap. I don't know how to fix anything, but I understand how it all works and how it's all supposed to go together. So I'll come back, I'll bring proposals, I'll show you what we do. I can also show you what other people do around this area and how much they charge, because I know.
Matt, thank you. If you could show me what Chris does every day, I'd like to know that.
Okay. Cowbell.
So, yeah, I was gonna
That's
tell
what we
you.
originally, yes.
So what I would recommend is call other counties, find out what they've got for their cybersecurity, who they got it through.
Yes.
Then also find out if ICAP can also provide that to you guys as well, because they are your insurance provider for just what, your vehicles, your
Okay.
buildings, everything. Okay.
Can I ask a
Sure.
question though? Aren't they currently doing that? Because the cybersecurity list came from ICAP a year ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shannon, are they not providing it?
I don't know.
I mean, because
You're
that's
right,
where
it did.
I reached out as a safety committee co-chair and said, hey, we are doing some cybersecurity assessments. What are your recommendations? And that's where the list came from.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That is true, Chris.
Correct.
And
I know.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm making my sales pitch here. This is what PCS would do. We would call them and say, look, we're trying to help them figure out what they're doing.
Do you want me to email Joe Benz or is Shannon gonna email him? I mean, I think we need to figure out.
I would find out if your current provider
Yeah.
has that ability, and he may already be covered. I
Cause
mean,
that's
not
where
know
the
it.
list came from.
Yeah.
So Shannon has volunteered to do that.
So are you talking about ICAP, right? Is that who you're?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I Captain Joe Benz.
I just don't know how
Firmly
we got the
hammered.
cowbell if we didn't know the answer. to
Get
the
it? I
question
mean, how
to
did,
begin with.
how did you guys get in touch with these guys? Did they contact you
Before
guys?
my
or-
time. I don't
Well,
know.
is Ben's the one that
Yeah, I think
presented
so. That's what
cowbell?
I
Well,
remember.
maybe
Yes.
They don't, maybe ICAP doesn't
Okay,
insure it and it's
well, that's
a
good to know.
second. It's a
I think-
secondary insurer.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I think that through Joe Vance and is Alice, through his office, sent cowbell to us. I think that might be their cybersecurity option.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
I
get you
would-
an option too.
Please,
Yeah,
I'll bring one and you guys can see it. And
review it and read.
yeah, for me, you and
Yeah,
read.
absolutely.
Or even
They're
your,
a good
one of your, I
company.
mean, you have insurance companies here in town. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's
local,
true.
you know?
Yeah.
This is not anything that's unusual.
I can't imagine ICAP doesn't offer it though.
Well, maybe something that they're not,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, we're out of here. I'll see you on the 22nd
yes,
in this building, in this room.
yes, unless they kick us out.
And despite the back and forth, I do appreciate it.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
fine.
No, thank
Well,
you
no,
for
that's
that.
why I kept asking the question, because you listed the invoice and you listed both those things and you said that's the one you want to get rid of. And
That's
I was
why I
like,
gave it to her.
I was like,
because-
oh, no, they, because I had talked to Scott about this before. Hey, you know, if you guys, just so you know, this is what the service provides, your antivirus and all that stuff. If you guys get rid of that, you won't have any protection.
I wasn't involved in the discussion. I
No,
just
I
knew
know.
the $662 bill was the new bill.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's why, because usually anything that, like, I know that the auditor's office is usually the point of contact for, you know, anything in the courthouse. So that's why I always go back and check with them.
So
on
have
things
we
before.
added something new that, because I've never, in all the years that I was here, prior to coming back, I never saw this bill, never saw anything like
I think Dee's the one that called and asked about
it.
it.
Okay,
You know, because we actually, they wanted to know what it was gonna cost to back up all the servers for the, you know, the county
right.
office.
So prior to this, we never had any antivirus or?
Well, yeah, you guys have always had this. You've had this. I was actually the one that put it in place. The enable system is what it's called. You guys have had, I've been, I don't know,
6,
7,
7
8
years.
years maybe.
Okay, so I just.
For antivirus, but not the backup.
Yeah, the backup was new.
The backup was new from last year. But all the other stuff, yeah, you've had for
We didn't know there
years.
was other things combined in. with
Exactly
the-
right.
Yeah, well, so the
With
reason
the
why it is
cloud.
because that the backup service is an add-on to the other services that you guys have with us that's basically provided through the cloud.
Okay.
So if we just authorize payment of the invoice, are we good to go?
We can turn it
I
back
got
on.
I got to re-add them back, but it doesn't take, it's not that hard.
I don't know if that's what you want to do or not.
Dee, what do you think?
I would say we need to reauthorize the invoice and just start up the cloud.
Well, why don't
again.
I turn it back on and then let me give you a price, but we'll get it turned back on. And I'm not worried about the money.
Hey, thank you
Well,
very
thank-
much for talking with us. We really needed to have this
Thanks.
conversation all together.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you are.
Yeah, take care.
What's happened to you? You disappeared.
No, eat well now.
All right,
Thanks, everybody.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yep,
Have a nice day.
yep, you too. You too.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. I got you.
Need more combos. Need more
All right, I'll see you
combos.
guys.
That's the
Go
only-
to TSC, they sell cowbells for you.
okay. That's the only thing that was going through my head.
I know,
So-
I know.
Just for the record, Madam Chair,
Yes,
I do have lab on Wednesday, the 22nd at 8:10 in the morning, but I should be able to make it 1:30.
okay, we'll stall till you get here.
Okay. Just saying.
Okay.
I just wanted to be aware.
Thank you. So the next item on our agenda is to discuss and consider sending a letter of request to the city of Fairfield for ARPA funds for the ambulance. In other words, they would be giving the county ARPA funds for us to use toward the ambulance.
Well, that was the process that the city administrator asked us to follow.
Correct.
And so I would make a motion that we ask Chauncey or Elizabeth to draw us up a letter of request to send to. the city.
Yeah, and I guess I had thought we'd already said something to Chauncey. Oh, yeah, and fire station.
Right, but we just, right now, all we've done is the fire station.
Okay. They haven't done the ARPA funding yet?
No.
Okay, yes, I agree with that. I second that motion.
Did you hear the motion, Dee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion by Dimmitt, second by Drish, to ask Chauncey to follow up with the letter to the city for the ARPA funds and the building transfer. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Was the building
It's
transfer was
separate,
part
but
of your
we-
motion?
we need to have a
Yeah.
discussion on that anyways.
Yeah, see, there's two lines. We just
Right.
combined both, we combined both items here.
So, we can approve the letter that Chauncey drew up. I don't know where it's at, but anyway, he did write a letter and he sent it all to us.
Correct.
I would ask the board not to send the letter at this time, and my reasoning is, I talked to Mike Nolan Friday, I think it was, because I knew he was gonna be here on Wednesday.
Correct.
Brett Farrell and Judy and I toured the building one more time. And going through the building, it became apparent, at least to me, with their help, that we've got some issues there. And in response to your question regarding, is it ADA compliant? The short answer is no, it is not. But in talking to Mike, he said, well, if you're just swapping personnel, you don't have to change anything. But if you're going to change some things up, then yes, you're going to have to do that. Well, we obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, in our tour, it became apparent that we were going to have to make some significant changes inside in regards to how we were going to configure the sleeping arrangements and stuff, because there's no egress out of those rooms, for example, in the basement, except the door you go in and out. Now, we could cut a hole in the wall, we could put a window in there, but you're going to be looking at dirt because you're underground, right? And so I had a long conversation with Mike. I've asked Mike after I'm not going to be here on Wednesday, but after, because I've got another meeting, but after the construction progress meeting on Wednesday, he's going to go over and take a look at the building. And I'm just speaking up for myself. I've thought about this and thought about this and thought about this. He also said there's no way under any set of circumstances that could possibly be ready by October, even if we were to get the building by then, which we wouldn't have it simply because of the construction has to take place. Bart was here. We had a long conversation with Mike and with Bart about potentially building new out behind the law center down there. And he said, late spring next year at the earliest. And so it comes full circle back to
the First National Bank.
First National Bank. And that one, if I said, if we gave you the go ahead by April 1st, could this be ready by October 1st? He was not, not a problem, but he said, yeah, we could probably make that happen. If we do it before April 1st, we might be able to make it happen sooner. So I guess where I'm going, guys, is simply all things being equal, we own the building. I don't know how many thousands of dollars we might have to put into the fire station, not have access to it until late summer summer at the earliest. So I just wondered if we wanted to rethink that without even jumping through the hoops and wasting the time. And I don't mean wasting the time in terms of having a conversation with the city, but having those conversations and kicking that can down the road and then making it harder.
I guess I personally feel, and we can ask Dee later what she feels, but.
Well, she's still here.
Yes, I know, but I was gonna
okay.
talk first, okay? Anyway, I think we've already got the building out there. I think a plus is the fact it can be done pretty close to October 1st.
Right. And he also said that, because I said I would get started on the inside right away. He said, yeah. And I said, when the weather permits, we can do the outside. He said, we can start taking the outside off now.
Yeah.
So I do need to meet with Michael Brown only because I wanted to have clarification on easements. But we clearly have easements. It's not a problem.
Okay,
And I believe that Melanie's still on, but I believe that they would prefer that we exit out on the 20th out of the bank building driveway, or, on 20th. So, and that's fine, because we're talking about doing a pull through anyway, so we would just come around, pull through, and then when we would go out the drive.
we would pull through
We come
from the
Walmart
east.
parking lot, and and we pull through from the east.
Okay.
It's very doable in that regard. So
It's just-
anyway,
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me, but, and also the fact that we can be up and ready and not having to put one ambulance here or something here, it just makes it cleaner.
And Mike did speak to local contractors,
Mhm.
so, which we know that.
That's wonderful. Dee, do you have an opinion?
I do. I think the bank building is very well suited for the ambulance. I've said that all along. The fire station, thank you for getting that new information, Lee, because I think that's a game changer right there. That's going to cost a lot of money to make those egresses and all that happen. So I would be all for going with the bank building. We've got a solid plan. It's a great facility. It's structurally sound. We went through that when we bought it. And I think it'd be a great location.
So I'm going to ask you guys, since you'll be here for the construction progress meeting, are you, maybe we can't actually do that, but we could unofficially authorize Mike to move forward and then put it on Monday's agenda.
Haven't we already done that when we asked him to draw up the preliminary plans?
Well, it was a design services proposal, and we've got that, and we've got the design, but he said it would probably take another month to complete the design phase. So the sooner we give him the thumbs up to start that design phase, is all the quicker we get up the other end.
Let's put it on Monday's agenda. What time is that meeting on Wednesday?
12:30, Dee.
Okay.
Will you be here?
Wait, do you have
Yeah,
the
I will
governance-
be there, but I need to be in Des Moines by 4:30 for an ISACS board meeting.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say, didn't you have a governance board meeting? But
I do, but I'm gonna do that one on my drive to Des Moines
Okay.
on the phone.
okay, I didn't hear that, by the way. I'm just saying
You didn't hear what?
that you're gonna have a meeting while you're driving. I didn't hear that.
Oh, it's hands-free, Lee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, take the hands off the steering wheel.
You're gonna have Bart looking out for you now. Making sure.
So on Monday's agenda to discuss and consider moving forward on the First National Bank building. And in the meantime, I will get with Mike to discuss the easements. I gave him all that information sometime back. We just want to make sure that we can't turn it into a bar anyway, because when Walmart sold it to First National Bank, one of the things in the agreement was that it could never be a bar. So.
A dance hall?
No, it can't be a dance hall.
You sure you want to wait till Monday? We could put it,
Well, what I'm
we
saying
could put
is-
it on, make an agenda for whatever time we're free on Thursday.
Well, you can actually, I believe, because we're having a construction meeting, can we not just say to Mike, hey,
12:30 meeting on Wednesday.
yeah,
That says meet with Mike Nolan about courthouse projects.
well, but I mean, can we say this is what we're going to do?
Can the agenda be updated just to say to discuss and consider moving forward on 1900 West Burlington construction?
Yeah.
I think we could do that as long as we get it, the agenda changed by 12:30 today. Tomorrow.
Okay. put it on there,
So
would you-
Wednesday,
Would you please?
Yeah, so take it off of next Mondays.
And if it's legal, you can be my proxy.
Yes. Just a second. We have a concerned citizen.
Question, is this a panic move to jump back to the First National Bank because of the timeline and 5 years down the road? you're gonna wanna put up a new building then and stuff, because it's not adequate.
I personally believe it will be adequate, which is my opinion. I think we're just trying to get, so on October 1st, we have a place. As opposed to having to,
That's called panic move.
Now, all the rooms are all,
No,
all we're doing is closing one room off that is not, putting an egress window in on the west side of the building, adding showers to the 2 restrooms that already exist, updating the break room to accommodate a stove and a refrigerator. And we're taking out the teller counters, so if you need teller counters in your building, you're more than welcome to have them. And the counters along the wall will be left for, what do we call it, so that they can do their incident reports and stuff.
Yeah.
There is an exit on the south side of the building that will exit right into the base.
I've been in there.
Yeah.
So,
So no, it's not,
well, I've heard feedback from the county that they thought that fire station was a good move.
that was me. I thought it was too. And we went over, I toured it twice, once with Brett and then once with Brett and Judy. And when I was back over there with Brett, we had a lot of conversations. That's why I talked to Mike Nolan. Because I was looking at, well, we've got these rooms down the hallway in the basement that, you know, that there's a shower down there and those rooms could be bedrooms, sleeping rooms, except they've only got an entrance in and an entrance out. There's absolutely nothing else. And the law requires you gotta have an egress somewhere other than, you gotta have 2 ways out of that.
Well, I thought there was another stairway.
There is a stairway upstairs and there's a kitchen upstairs and there's a sleeping room upstairs with a bathroom, but 3.
That's clear up.
Yep, 3 firefighters sleep in that room. That's not conducive to our particular situation. And then clear up with a tower, they hang hoses, but there's no rooms up there.
Put in apartment rooms.
Well, yeah, but all of that constitutes construction, which obviously is an expense. Also coupled with the fact that right now the estimate is midsummer, before the new fire station would be built, we'd have to find something. Not saying we couldn't make it work, but, and we still wouldn't have a place to do our incident reports and everything. And so it's, I wouldn't consider it a panic mode other than time is of the essence. And this, you know, I was excited about the prospect of just doing the swap because I thought it was almost just walk in and take over in the summer, and it's clearly not going to be the case.
Well, I just want the best bang for my buck.
Right.
And these taxpayers too.
Sure, no, I get that, but I also want to be able to, when they call 911, have somebody respond. And
you got somebody waving their arms.
Bart
Oh.
wants to say something.
I kind of agree with Joe. I mean, you're focused on October 1. I guarantee you're probably not going to get anything done. I mean, I look at the long term. I mean, it's under 3,500 square feet for bays and living quarters.
that's not true. The living quarters alone are 2,500 square feet.
Well,
25.
but anyway, it long term, it can be built energy efficient. The maintenance would stretch out, you know, minimal maintenance for 20, 25 years. It was new. Just stuff like that. Long term, thinking long term. So that's my idea. I'm pitching for that. And I'm not even discussing additional space for the sheriff's office and the police department. I'm saying you've got a great spot there that could be right next to 12th Street.
That's $750,000.
Right.
No, it wouldn't be that much.
Yes, it was. He said right here on the phone. And he said, if we pull off that one street, it would be around $700,000. And so my point simply is that, and then
Meaning if he had to put that long drive in.
Hey,
no, he said if he pulls that long drive off, then it would be around $700,000.
No, that's not.
Geez, waving at you.
Yes.
hey, I think Melody might have something to contribute here.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, and I wanted to interrupt. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay,
I can see you too.
okay. So for the preliminary work with the fire station, we looked at the area behind the sheriff's office. There was structural analysis done and living quarters analysis and all of that done on the existing fire station. That is available on the city's not Facebook page, website. I'll send you a link to that preliminary report. I think some of this preliminary site discussion, you'll have answers to Joe's questions, to Bart's questions. The city did that work, discussed some of that stuff. Ultimately for the fire station, we wanted to stay downtown, and close to the underpass. That was our choice. But, like the site restrictions behind the sheriff's office, that's what made it not a good site for us. Doesn't mean it's not going to make a good site for an ambulance building. But some of those pros and cons of each of those sites, except for the First National Bank building, we laid those out with the fire station. So I'll share that document with you, public document, absolutely take the work that we already did. One of the things, and I'm not sure if your architect has talked to you about this, is that an ambulance, or at least what our architect said, was that an ambulance is an emergency response and needs to have a structural or a level of safety on the structure that's higher than a regular building. And so that's where we found that building a new building was going to be more efficient than remodeling. And so I would guess that, like at the First National Bank building, building a new garage for the vehicles themselves, building it to a higher standard is going to be more efficient than remodeling something. That's just my guess, but make sure you're talking to the architect about, that higher level of structural safety if he hasn't mentioned it yet. And that, again, that's outlined in that preliminary work that we did on the fire station site analysis that we did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
I will email it to Shannon and she can distribute it to you guys. And the link, I'll just link it to the city's website. And again, then you can share it with any of the public too, as far as if you want to point out to anyone about, why a site works or doesn't. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we've added it to our agenda.
Yeah.
Do you
And
want it on your agenda now?
And keep
or do
in
you want
mind
time to look
that
at
the
this
ambulance
other-
phase will be all new
yeah,
and will be built to.
already have a new furnace in there. We've
Yeah.
At any rate, moving along, discuss and consider safety committee recommendations. Chris?
Shannon, did you have something to ask Susie? You started to say something.
I just
before
wondered if you were gonna be ready for it on Wednesday with the new information that you have to look at.
We hope we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mike will be here. I won't, but Mike will be here and we need to have that discussion. We can't keep kicking this down the road.
Yeah. And Dee will be here.
Yes.
Yes. Chris, thank you for coming.
Hi, Susie.
You're always here, but then, thank you for coming in.
Hey, yeah, you bet. So Brett was gonna stay for the meeting, but he had another appointment at 10 o'clock. So
So what
Susie,
you're saying is that who is important to.
no, somebody was coming to his office, so I didn't need to be there. So Susie was at the safety committee meeting last Wednesday, and at that time there was a discussion on which
Was this
safety month. You got a couple of pages there. I'm trying to go through it. It was.
Stacy.
By you
Shall we-
guys.
We'll see you.
By you guys. Well, it's one of those staples with your copier that doesn't have a real staple.
Oh.
But I don't know what happened. So now we're gonna use a real staple. Anyway,
All right.
this is the recommended training that the safety committee would like to see all the employees complete. Susie was there, this one on the front.
Okay.
Susie was there, Stacy was there from IMWCA, our work comp carrier. So, and Melissa reviewed a training video that really, we didn't know if we needed to do it, but it was more for tall buildings and ladders and stuff that we're not gonna be doing. Superman, yeah, right. Anyway, I knew that's where you're going. It wouldn't be appropriate for the majority of the work that we do within the county. We don't have some skyscrapers. We don't have all that rigging and harnessing and all that kind of stuff. So you'll see the recommendations here listed and the time that each module takes. So we would like to have you, as the Board of Supervisors, approve this training module. And then on the second and third page, you'll see the Alert Iowa information that Brett was at the safety committee and he presented this information. It's just a notification system that for inclement weather, or, you know, there was a situation a while back where there was somebody that was on the loose and they were given a notification, you know, it was an escaped criminal. And so they sent out a countywide notification saying avoid this area. But then everybody goes to that area because they want to see what's going on.
Right by the bears.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, if you're not, yeah, like you guys know. So anyway, this is just a 2-page document that talks about what that is and the importance of registering. Brett could have given you a much better overview, but I'm giving you the condensed version. So anyway, we as a safety committee would like the Board of Supervisors to approve these training modules for this calendar year. And then Melissa can take care of enrolling the employees. That's the ask.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I have a motion by Drish, second by Dimmitt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
I will tell you this too. I had a conversation with Chauncey last week. Pat McAvan was always the chairperson for the safety committee. We were co-chairs for a while. Anyway, Chauncey and I had a conversation about the possibility of Elizabeth doing it. But our next meeting would be April 5th. Well, she's only going to be in her position a short time. So I don't know if she'll be able to be at the first meeting, but moving forward, the goal is.
I think it'd be nice to have her on there and you could walk her through that.
Yeah, so that's the goal moving forward, to have the assistant county attorney be the safety co-chair. Okay, all right, thanks. I'll go back to my corner. Okay, thank you.
Go back.
Exactly.
So make committee reports.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to go. So after the meeting last week, Susie and I worked on trying to post on Indeed. And so the long and the short of it is I helped get that uploaded. We verified it on the phone. They told us it was going to be posted within an hour. Well, I've learned through the years not to assume anything happens. So I went on later that week and it's not on there yet. There's still some things that need to be completed. So,
And you know, to follow up on that, Dee,
yeah,
on last Monday, you remember Lee? Stacy, no, Abby and I sat here with you, had to call. I filled out some more stuff. The lady that we talked to said it was all done. We were all ready to go.
yeah,
It's still not there.
right. So,
I'm gonna follow up with that this morning.
okay, good. Do you want me to post on Glassdoor or would you like to? The thing is, it's hard for me to do that and use your email because then I don't see the emails.
I've never used Glassdoor before,
Okay,
but we haven't had a rush of applicants. So the site that we are using and we have gotten some interest in is through the hospital, and we haven't had a lot of them. So anything you want to do, or maybe we should just ask Jack to do it for us at this point.
I'm okay with either way.
What Chris wants to say something.
Hey, Dee, I know, I just want to give you an update. So I took the ad that you guys had written and I posted it on our Facebook page. It's been shared 42 times with other
I've seen it. Yeah.
businesses. The other thing I wanted to close the loop on the director position. It was on the Iowa EMS Association webpage, but they didn't have any of the contact information for
But you put that on there.
So it took a couple days, but that is all fixed now. And I checked it last Thursday. So the job description and the contact is correct. So
Dee, rest assured, we are trying to drain the swamp so we can get this done. But
good teamwork, everybody. So
I'm very frustrated with Indeed.
Indeed.
Indeed, I am.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
D.
No, I was you. Okay. Any meetings, Lee?
Yeah, we all had, we all went with D, the ambulance board meeting last Tuesday. Most of it was discussed behind closed doors, so just suffice it to say that they're working hard. Myself, Sean Morrissey, Dick Reed, and Michael Brown, we met over at the county attorney's office to discuss Jackson Point.
Correct.
And we're going to pursue an attorney that has, I guess what I'd say, legal experience or experience in these separations and these special tax deals and so on and so forth. I'm concerned. We obviously want to keep Jackson Point up and running. We have a management company that manages a lot of these housing, subsidized housing operations here in Fairfield. And I know they were asking for some type of tax break on property taxes. That's a conversation for another day. But we want to make sure that, see, the county doesn't own it, and it's kind of a convoluted thing. It's Progressive Housing Corp that owns it, but the county is on the board of Progressive Housing Corp. And when it was one of these deals that was built with tax incentives, or investors receive tax incentives by investing in it. And over a period of 15 years, they've gotten all the goodie out of it. So now they want to divest themselves, which is a common thing. It's not, but it's,
Sure.
we want to make sure that we do it correctly.
I think that's wise.
Then the Board of Supervisors, we had an ambulance meeting on Thursday. Got a lot accomplished under the direction of Susie. I went on the radio at 7:40 a.m., kind of a last minute thing, but Steve asked me to come. And then Susie and I were on work release on Saturday in the sheriff's booth at the farm show. So enjoyed my time while I was there.
There was a lot of folks there.
Yeah.
Were you hiding behind the curtain? I didn't see you.
Me?
Well,
Oh,
Lee and I were
yeah,
looking for you. We didn't see you either.
Well, I told you I left at 11 because my wife said, come home.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You know, it was really interesting. It was fun to watch the little kids running around all the giant farm equipment, that big sprayer.
Yeah.
Christine Ingwell's little boy was hiding underneath there and they couldn't get to him. It was really cute.
Man, I tell you, I remarked going in that when I used to work for Third Gas and we would apply fertilizers, chemicals, our homes were not
30, 40
right.
feet.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they weren't even close to being,
Yeah.
it's insane.
It was money well spent from the supervisors to help with that.
Yeah.
It was really good. A lot of folks in the community, the entire community.
Well, I heard a rumor like almost 700 people signed through. They must have a sign up. somewhere.
Yeah, there was a clicker. There's a lady click there.
Oh, was she? Okay.
I went in and out 23 times.
Well, good for you.
Their bathroom's not working either.
No, I
He comes over here.
Sorry.
No, that wasn't a traffic counter, lady.
Oh,
Well, hey, you know, that's right, because they even had to start cooking more tenderloins. Right. at
yeah,
noon.
see, I
So
had to
it-
leave before I could get producers.
You should have told them earlier that you have a special pickup order.
Yeah, well, I could have, I guess. Yeah. No, she wanted to, believe it or not, she wanted to go buy a puzzle. She wanted to go out of town. She wanted to get out of the house. And part of the reason she wanted to get out of the house is our old dog was literally on her last legs and she didn't want to sit there. And I get it.
Right.
I understand
get
it.
that. Yeah.
I laid with her this morning from about 2 o'clock on and we lost her overnight. So,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
so
Sorry to hear that.
I hate Mondays.
Me too.
Mondays.
oh, I enjoy it because I get to be with Susie. Right?
Don't,
Yeah,
don't.
So you're saying that's the only reason people stopped there was to talk to Susie, and you happened to be there.
That's right. Yeah. I
We
was-
are
I was
still on
work
Zoom.
release.
Okay, I was at everything that Lee mentioned. I think Dee wants to talk again. I see a raised hand.
Yes.
Yeah, at some point, we need to have a work session, Susie and Lee, with Kevin Riley on our section of the website for the supervisors. And I know that's not our highest priority right now, but let me know when you would like me to set that up.
I did reach out to him since the ambulance is gonna be a department of the county. He said, thank you for that update, so he'll keep that in mind building this system. So he responded to my email.
Yeah, I've emailed him. Thank you.
Huh? No, you guys told me to email it, so I did.
Yeah,
And then had another opioid webinar in May. They're actually going to do one on how to use it. So that I'm looking forward to that one.
how to use the opioid money?
Yep.
Pizza party. Oh,
Can you say ambulance?
Apparently that does not qualify because I have checked that out.
What, pizza party or ambulance?
Both.
Okay.
Parts of the ambulance would like buying the supplies, but some of the other things may not.
Chris, I can't believe you want to say something.
No, well, I'm just helping you with your agenda. I think you need to change the Thursday, March 9th, 8 o'clock meeting, unless you guys have a board meeting. This is the time that we're having a countywide preparedness meeting. So unless you guys.
So you don't want us to meet at 6:30
No,
now?
yes, we need to meet at 6:30. That's the ambulance task force, the subcommittee.
Yeah.
Yes, we still need to meet at 6:30. But my question to you guys is, do you guys have an ambulance board meeting that day? Or is
Well,
was there-
Lee is on that committee.
D, do you have an ambulance board meeting?
On the 9th? No.
Yeah. Okay, so
The ambulance group is meeting every other Tuesday at 8, so the
Yes,
next one's the 14th.
but my statement to you guys is this is the follow-up meeting from the tabletop shooting exercise. This is at Thursday at 8 o'clock is our regular county preparedness meeting. So I think it might need to be changed on your agenda is what I'm saying.
So which one are you wanting us to change? The 6:30 one?
No, the 80800. We are still having our ambulance committee meeting at 6:30. That's our subcommittee.
The other was-
Correct.
The other was the
So what's the
EMS.
wording for
Okay.
8 o'clock meeting?
It's the Jefferson County Emergency Preparedness Team Coalition.
Because we were at that.
Oh,
At the tabletop, so I'm just trying to make.
Do we still get to come to the tabletop?
Yeah, it's the follow-up. It's our regular monthly meeting is what I'm saying. I think we just got the.
It's
verbiage
just
twisted on your
EMS, not
agenda.
ambulance.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah.
emergency preparedness.
Okay.
Good catch, Chris.
Well, thanks, Hank.
EPS.
Chris, I'm so glad you're here.
Funny, Susie.
Thank you for that, though.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I just didn't want to
Yeah.
semantics to get us in trouble.
So,
Okay.
it's my most favorite time of day, public
Are
comments.
you ready?
I am.
Can I throw another crowbar into the gears?
Sure.
Have you got an estimate of what it's gonna cost to redo that First National Bank yet?
Yep,
Uh-huh.
360 to 380,000. You cannot touch that new building for that money. Or even
If
down
you,
that
if
road.
you sell the old building and put the two together, how far off do you think we will be? I mean, I'm just asking,
Sell what old building?
the First National Bank drive-in, sell it to the city for what you paid for it, and then go build this new. I mean, I'm just throwing it out, because in my mind, you're moving in, it's a panic mode. We gotta have something by the 1st of October. I realize that. But do we need to look at the new building too or not? I mean, it would be built more energy efficient.
I know what
stuff.
Art said, with all due respect, sit right here and talk to Mike about this last Friday. We cannot touch that building for less than $700,000.
Okay, you're gonna say, you're talking 350, say 350 to remodel. What'd you pay for the building?
But it's already paid for, is the point.
Yes, but if you can resell it,
I've got $1.5 million. I'm not gonna put $700,000.
don't get upset. I'm just
No,
throwing this out.
I know, and I keep trying to tell you that we've got $1.5 million that we've got to work with, which is also getting people paid, getting things set up, and also the fact that, term panic mode, I don't think is the question. The question is, what are you going to do with your crews and with your ambulances for 6 to 8 months after October 1st? So if you want to consider that as a panic mode, I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly agree.
You know, Joe, I do think we have a sense of urgency.
Yes.
Yeah, you
But-
do, you do.
but-
That's
but
what
it's
I'm
not
saying. It is
panicking.
a sense of urgency.
I know, but I don't think we're panicking. But I
Okay.
just,
I know, I agree that with what both of you said, but I also know that spreading people out across town, trying to figure out, we've got to get infrastructure in place, and whether we partner with an outside billing source, which I think is what we'll do, at least in the beginning, in consultation with the hospital, they think that that's the smart thing to do. But we still have to have the infrastructure in place to be able to send the billing, to be able to do the incident reports and stuff, to be able, and being spread all over the city and not having, just being able to park an ambulance and put a crew there to escape doesn't get that done, and that has to all be in place as well, and so. And
Well taken.
yeah, and Mike clearly said, mid to late spring at the earliest of next year, before that would be ready to go. He said that the design phase wouldn't be completed till August 1st on the new building. Okay, I don't know.
you know,
why.
it goes back to the human aspect for me as well. I was here early today and got 2 phone calls. One of them was from a lady who'd fallen and couldn't get up. She had them come, last time she had them come, they were able to help her get up. That was before maybe last year. This year, she got up and she said, how much is this gonna be? And they told her $250 to help her up. We need a new ambulance.
$250 just to help her up.
That's what I was told.
A lift assist, you mean just to help her up off the ground?
That's what yes.
I think sometimes, I can't speak for sure, I don't know. That would be a question to the ambulance, if they do any kind of like assessment and a refusal. You know, because once they roll up on scene, you have to refuse a transport. You just can't go help somebody and then not do something.
I guess it made me just start thinking, wait a minute, they came and helped you up and gonna charge you.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is that prior to our current set of circumstances, and I don't know what their policies and procedures are now, but prior to our current set of circumstances, even though it was suggested both by their base manager and other people that they should charge for refusals, they weren't doing it because it was too much paperwork, too much hassle. It even come up in ambulance board meetings, and Dee can attest to that. Now, all of a sudden, if they're charging for it, they're within their rights to do so. But I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying. We go from not doing it to doing it because.
Right.
But it costs money to roll that ambulance
Yes, it
out the
does.
door.
Yeah.
Right, it does.
In a case like this, if she can explain it, can first responders respond and pick her up?
Well, the first responders would get paged out. That's no guarantee that the first responders will show up because they're all volunteer, they could be working.
Right.
However, once an ambulance arrives on scene and they put eyeballs on a patient, you have to do a refusal form. So you have to release the ambulance service of any liability. So, yeah. that's
Okay.
part of that.
I just found it, I had a lot of questions.
Yeah. I think we should talk about that Thursday.
Okay.
Not necessarily with this
So they
service,
don't
but
know if it's
moving
Yes.
forward, what
Right.
you
No, I
guys wanna
agree.
do.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look from the data from the information the ambulance board received prior to January or December, there's usually, and I'm just pulling this number, a significant number of refusals for transport that the ambulance gets paid out to. I want to say it's about 20% of the calls, maybe 25, but it's significant.
But Chris, would this be classified as a
Henry County
transport
2
or
years ago
refusal for
wasn't
transport?
Refusal.
Yeah.
So they helped her up and they
A
just.
lift assist is still.
Okay,
Yeah, a
okay,
lift assist would still be a refusal.
Yeah, okay.
For further medical treatment.
okay.
But I don't know exactly how they categorize it.
Yeah, I was just a new one for me.
Yeah, and I think the general public has a misconception that you can just, if you fall or whatever, you can just call me, come help you up. Well, there's still a liability that goes with that, with the medics that are on scene.
Sure.
But you don't know if somebody could have a head bleed. You don't know
Sure.
what really is going on
Sure.
underlying. But it is your right, if you're competent, and able to make your own decisions that you can refuse.
And again, I don't
So,
have any issue with the charging for the refusal. I get to that, that's a common
Right,
practice.
it
although
is.
Joe indicated
It
that
is.
the county didn't start till about 2 years ago, but it's a common practice. It just strikes me as odd that with all of the financial issues they were having and
Right.
the questions that come up, even with the ambulance board, they weren't doing it. And
Yeah,
now all of a sudden,
yeah. Anyway, any more public comments?
Me.
Apologies. Okay, yes, Connor.
Yes. So I wanted to go back to that, Osage? How do you pronounce that road?
Osage,
Osage.
Osage, okay. Osage.
I can
and
take you out there so you
Glasgow
can see.
it's right next to
thing.
sausage.
Yeah.
Osage.
Road.
Oh, God.
Anyway, stop that. So I know you guys decided that you want to have it set at 45 miles an hour, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
When is that going to go into effect?
As soon as Dwayne gets back, I'm real sure those signs will go up.
Okay,
Okay. It
so
is- it
as
is my
soon as
intent.
possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like to help him?
Help him with what?
Well, take a picture of yourself by that sign. That'd be great for the newspaper.
I mean, yeah, I could.
Connor, tell her to take her place to do that.
Take your place to do what? Take the photos? Take the photos by the sign?
I've been out that intersection so much. It's really needed, you know? Yeah, I would
Sounds
imagine it could be
dangerous.
back. It's, you know, if you drive it, and if you're going, even 53, you've kind of